The good thing about winning a Super Bowl is that it can kind of get you a get out of jail free card for the next couple of seasons. And the Baltimore Ravens cashed in their get out of jail free card a little bit in 2013 after winning Super Bowl 47. Here they come to the 2013 season. Ray Lewis is gone, Ed Reed is gone, and people are unsure of what to make of the defending Super Bowl champions. And they ended up, frankly, being a mediocre, middle of the road team in 2013. They finished 8-8, missed the playoffs. Not the best season for sure. Surely a disappointing season because it was the first time since 2007 that this team had actually missed the playoffs. But again, you buy yourself a little time and a little patience when you win the Super Bowl the season before. But you'd have to expect that the Baltimore Ravens we're going to be at least a little bit active in this offseason, trying to sit there and replenish their roster a little bit and give it a little bit of a go in 2014. And they did. They went out and got Steve Smith after he was released by the Carolina Panthers. They traded for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers guard Jeremy Zuda. They brought in Owen Daniels from Houston. They drafted C.J. Mosley in the first round. With that said, they did lose some pieces in the offseason. Arthur Jones probably being the most notable and significant loss, unless you're a big-time movie fan and you love the movie Blindside, then you might view Michael Orr as their biggest loss. They also lost Jamil McClain in free agency, but I think Arthur Jones at defensive end in that 3-4 scheme would probably be the biggest loss that they had. So they brought in some pieces, but at the same point in time lost some pieces, and I don't think they really came out better or worse one way or another with their offseason. Heading into 2014, some of the strengths of this team, I still look at their linebacking core as a pretty solid strength with guys like Terrell Suggs and Elvis Dumervil, and you would think and hope that they would get more out of Upshaw. You've spent high picks on inside linebackers like Arthur Brown and now C.J. Mosley. You would assume that this linebacking core is going to be a strength of this Ravens defense in 2014. I also look at the wide receivers and tight ends for this team. While not the greatest plethora of weapons in the world. You've got Dennis Pitta and Owen Daniels at tight end. You've got, yes, an aging Steve Smith, but a Steve Smith at times that could be effective along with the Torrey Smith. You know, Flacco has some weapons to work with in the passing game and on offense with the Baltimore Ravens. But when you look at the question marks, you start off with Joe Flacco and you wonder, was 2013 an expectation of what is to come, or was 2013 just a little bit of a bad year and some bad luck and some other bad things, the pressure of that massive contract coming into play? Only time will tell. The running game was a big concern for the Ravens in 2013. Ray Rice was terrible. If he hit the hole as hard as he hit women, then maybe the Ravens will be just fine in the running game. I also question the offensive line, too. While Michael Orr wasn't great, Michael Orr was still a starter. And this is an offensive line that got better once they traded for Bryant McKinney, but they were definitely not a strength of this team at all. And I still question their construction, their makeup, and their overall talent level and how they're going to play in this upcoming season. Looking at their schedule for the season to come, they've got the AFC South, the NFC South, and then their AFC conference games. They've got San Diego and Miami, so not the easiest schedule to hold. I look at the start right away for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think this will be critical for this team in 2014. You're talking about a team that right away from the very beginning starts off with 3 straight divisional games, and the first 2 being at home. That's a way you want to start off the season. You have a chance to really handle your business. Make sure that you guarantee yourself a lead in the division. If you win those first 3 games, you'll automatically be in first no matter what anybody else does. And you potentially set yourself up in a situation come the end of the season if you need a tiebreaker for a playoff spot or for a divisional title and playoff spot. If you could beat Cincinnati and Pittsburgh at home and then go on the road to Cleveland and handle business there, you're looking at a team that's 3-0 with potentially setting themselves up for a 3-0 divisional record, which is key, and giving themselves tiebreakers. So at this point in the season, against their 3 divisional rivals. That's going to be a key period of the schedule, a key part of the season right away from the very beginning for the Baltimore Ravens. They've got to be able to handle business at home against Cincinnati, at home against Pittsburgh, and then on the road against Cleveland. If they go 1-2, 0-3 in that stretch, that's not a good sign and indicator of things to come for the Ravens ahead in 2014. Now, their keys to success. Joe Flacco might not ever become an elite quarterback. I'm pretty much guarantee that. but he's got to play more up to the contract that he was given. He's got to be better. He's got to make better decisions. He's got to take better care of the football, and he's got to be able to shoulder more of the burden for the Baltimore Ravens on offense, which is part of the reason they gave him that big contract to begin with. They need Ray Rice to be the old Ray Rice. They need Ray Rice, like I said, to hit the hole as hard as he hits the women, and if he does that, they'll be just fine. But the Ravens are still a team based off of defense and running the football, and they didn't get a whole lot of running the football, and they got so-so results on defense. They need Ray Rice and maybe even Bernard Pierce behind him to provide more help to Joe Flacco with the Ravens rushing attack. They need the offensive line to play well, and they need the defense to play better than it did in 2013. I think the Baltimore Ravens didn't do a lot to get worse in the offseason, but I don't necessarily think they got a whole lot better either. There's a part of me that sits there and says that I think the Baltimore Ravens could nosedive a little bit more this year and potentially only win 6 or 7 games, but I won't go quite that far. They were 8-8 last year with no running game, a bad offensive line. I think they'll be just a tad bit perhaps better this year. I still don't think it'll ultimately be good enough to win the division, but I do think they will go maybe 9-7, maybe at best 10-6, and finish second in the AFC North.